Tonight on SportsDesk, history in the making. Our lead reporter Ryan Gleicher is in Houston to bring us a look at the men's basketball team as they prepare for their first ever Final Four matchup versus UConn.
Plus, a rivalry renewed. Canes baseball kicks off their series with Florida State tonight at the Light. Our Inside Pitch crew shares what Miami must do to stop the chalk.
And later on, NFL hopeful. Miami football's Pro Day took place on Monday. We'll tell you how the Canes fared in front of pro scouts.
All that and more.
SportsDesk starts
right now.
I'm Ed Reed, and you're watching SportsDesk.
Hi, I'm Jim Kelly, former UM guy. You're watching SportsDesk.
What's up? I'm DJ Williams, and y'all watching SportsDesk.
Hello and welcome to SportsDesk. I'm Ethan Gainey.
And I'm Olivia Howell. It's an exciting weekend for Canes hoops as they're about to make their first ever Final Four appearance.
Yeah, exciting actually might be an understatement. The Canes are taking on the UConn Huskies in Houston tomorrow night at 8:49 p.m. And our lead reporter Ryan Gleicher is over 1,000 miles away. He's live from Houston's NRG Stadium right now. Ryan, we miss you over here, but tell us all about what you're seeing so far from the Final Four.
Guys, I'm live at NRG Stadium right now for the Final Four weekend, and they just ended the Reese's All-Star game, and the West team came out on top. And that wasn't all that happened today as fans enjoyed it in the crowd, as all teams participated in open practices today, and Miami did so as well. And they were pretty loose out there, as Miami hosted at the end of their practice a game of knockout where, of course, ACC Player of the Year Isaiah Wong was the one that came out on top. But for now, leaving you here from NRG Stadium on the road until tomorrow. For UMTV, I'm Ryan Gleicher.
Thanks, Ryan. The men's team came back from a 13 down to beat Texas in their Elite 8 game, while the women fell by 12 to LSU in their own Elite 8 game. Our Hurricane Hangtime crew is here to break it all down.
Thanks, Liv, and welcome everybody to Hurricane Hangtime. I'm your host, Wrigley Court, joined by Jake Baum and Gavin Bischow. Let's talk hoops. Starting off on the men's side of things, where they got the Elite 8 victory against the Texas Longhorns. Jake, let's talk about that game.
Well, yes, it was a beautiful Elite 8 victory over the Longhorns for the Canes, heading all the way to the Final Four. Let's talk about this game. Canes up early 7-0, but it seemed after that the Texas Longhorns were hitting every shot they attempted. Here, Serge Rice, another attempted three. That one good as well. Then Texas did eventually take the lead, a big lead at that. However, Jordan Miller does not want to let that stand. See a pull-up jumper there, and then after that, a nice assist from Miller to Wooga. 4-3 from the corner is good. Swoosh, nothing but net on that one. Now let's go to the second half. Canes still down by a lot, and Serge Rice kept hitting those threes. Another attempt there, and now Canes are coming back. Only down by 10. Isaiah Wong trying to lead this comeback. Pull-up jumper, beautiful there, only down by 8. Skip a little forward. Wong to Omir. That one, alley-oop, is good. Beautiful, game is tied. They would take the lead on a free throw after that. Nigel Pack, 3 no good, but a little bit of foul trouble from both teams there, and the Canes would take the lead on a couple free throws. And after that, Canes come out victorious. Norchad Omir throwing up the ball there. Canes end up defeating the Longhorns 88-81 in advance to the Final Four against the University of Connecticut Huskies Saturday night.
All right, Jake, now that we've seen some of the big plays from that game, what were your keys to the win against the Texas Longhorns?
Well, the big thing of note in that game against the Longhorns, Jordan Miller, 7 for 7 field goal shooting and 13 for 13 from the line. He's got that 20-20 vision, something that I don't have.
All right, moving on to the Final Four matchup against the UConn Huskies. They've looked like the best team in the tournament so far, averaging over 80 points a game with some stout defense. Jake, how can the Canes beat this team?
Two big things to note if you're the Miami Hurricanes. First is the turnover battle. The Huskies are averaging one more turnover per game than the Canes, and the Canes are averaging one more steal than the Huskies. If they can win that turnover battle, the Canes already have a leg up on the competition. One more thing of note is going to be the scoring. A lot of people saying that UConn has an amazing defense, not allowing a lot of points. However, University of Houston, when they played in the Sweet 16, allow, on average, less than 58 points per game, and the Canes went on to score 89. So if the Canes can repeat that success, UConn's defense shouldn't be a problem.
Moving from one Elite Eight team to another, the Lady Canes took on the LSU Tigers but were unable to emerge victorious. Gavin, what happened in that game?
Well, coming hot off their Sweet 16 victory against Villanova, it was Miami, LSU, ACC, SEC, and the program's first Elite Eight. We start in the first half, and it was the Jasmine Roberts show for Miami, getting the first bucket on the board for the Canes. She had 22 points, coming off a 26-point performance against the Villanova Wildcats in the Sweet 16. How about that? Hand in the face, step-back jump shot. And then again, another jump shot right there, but she did really well. She shot 10 for 20 from the field. Really Miami's only offense all game long. As you see there, cutting to the basket, making a great play. She was the only spark this Miami team had, cutting, passing, shooting. She had all the success. Now second half, LSU pulling away, getting a little bit of space, a little bit of momentum. This LSU team so poised. They shot so poorly in the first half. They came back, took easy shots in the second half. Look at this, up 13, make it 16. The corner three gave the Tigers their largest lead of the evening, and then alley-oop, why not? The LSU Tigers taking down the Miami Hurricanes 54-42. They're dancing on the sideline because they're dancing to Dallas. Well, they'll play Virginia Tech actually now against a former HCC foe of Miami Hurricanes. Again, Jasmine Roberts with 22 points. Destiny Harden had not as much luck, only 3 points in her final game with the Hurricanes.
Gavin, the women were unable to continue their playoff run, but they had a historic season, entering the first Elite Eight berth in the program's history. What does this mean for the program going forward?
Well, certainly there's a lot of buzz around this women's basketball team that really didn't have as much popularity on campus especially, and also on the national landscape. Katie Meyer, that run cemented her in her legacy into a very high echelon of coaches, and just the way the team played, she inspired not only fans but her own team and the players as they really revolve around her as a central point. This is going to be a key run when they go into recruiting that they're going to use as a step stool to see what this team can do in the future. You lose Destiny Harden, you lose Carla Ariovitz, but you might have the Cavenders, their status is unknown, but then also Jasmine Roberts. She did really well down the stretch. Look to see how good her future is, but Katie Meyer, certainly a lot of pluses out of this deep run.
Got a big Final Four matchup coming up tomorrow, but that is all the time we have, so let's send it back to Ethan at the desk.
All right, thanks guys. And with all this Final Four excitement here on campus, we decided to go out and talk to students to see how they think the Canes will perform tomorrow night. Check it out.
What's up, everyone? I'm Gabby Patron.
And I'm Ethan Gady, and it's Final Four week for the first time ever here on campus at the U. And with every major sporting event in the U.S. nowadays comes major sports betting. So we wanted to give students on campus a chance to place their own bet.
We set player props for our starting five on the Hurricanes, and we want to know if you think they'll go over
or under. We want to know, is Nigel Peck going to hit over or under 2.5 threes?
Over.
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 I'm going to take the under on that.
Okay. Will Jordan Miller be shooting over or under 60% from the field?
Absolutely over. I mean, he's coming off what he did last game, so I think there's no way that he doesn't do the same.
That's over.
Perfect score. Over.
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 Isaiah Wong, over under 16.5 points.
Over. We'll have a big game.
Over.
Definitely over.
Over.
Over. Easily.
Norchad O'Meara, over or under 10.5 rebounds?
Over.
I'm taking the under on that. I think that he's going to have a lot of problems with UConn center.
Under.
I'm going to say under because UConn has that big, tall guy.
Over, book it.
Over, that's my guy.
Over.
Now convert that to baby food.
Baby food, let's go.
Finally, Wooga Poplar, is he going to have a yam this game, a dunk?
Oh, he's going to have a yam.
Absolute yams?
All in on the yam for Wooga. Yeah, another inbound play off the back.
Easily, yes.
100%, yes.
Without a doubt in the world.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, it's his day.
He'll probably have a few, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm expecting at least 3.
All right, well, we spoke to at least 20 people, too many to even include, and I would say we set some pretty good lines.
Yeah, I mean, we had people think it for a while, but there were obviously was Canes fans. It's all in on the Canes.
Well, I guess you have to see if they're right or wrong this Saturday night in Houston.
Huffington Gany.
And I'm Gabby Patron.
And let's send it back to myself at the desk.
Thanks, me. Miami sports have created a major buzz on campus all semester, and a big reason for that has been the energy created by the student sections at games. Brandy Troop sat down with Category 5 Chair Rebecca Elia for more.
Hello everyone, I am Brandy Troop, and today we have a very special in-studio interview with the chair of Category 5, Miss Rebecca Elia. Rebecca, how are you?
Hi Brandy, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking, and thank you so much for having me.
Girl, I am so glad to have you here. You in Category 5 have been doing your thing, okay? The fan attendance at all the games and events. You've created this high-spirited atmosphere. How have you done it?
You know, Brandy, it's taken quite a lot of work behind the scenes at Category 5, and I think that that's one thing that we really have improved on over the course of this year. A lot of times when people see us in the stands, they see these crazy, chaotic students, but what they don't see is the amount of work and dedication that we have to put in every single day to be able to achieve that high energy, chaotic, in-game experience energy that you see.
To have such success that you guys have acquired, you gotta have an amazing team dynamic. What is that dynamic like?
Our team dynamic, I have to say, it almost resembles that of our current men's and women's basketball teams. You can just see in their eyes on the court how they can interact, and we are just the same way. We have an amazing executive board made up with amazing committees that serve underneath each of them, and together we make this coherent energy that just cranks out amazing ideas and puts them into fruition.
Love it. Do you feel that appreciation from the athletes?
Oh my gosh, the athletes are so wonderful at showing us how much they appreciate what we do. It's not a day that goes by that one of us doesn't receive either a text or a phone call, either from a classmate, a teammate, a team manager, any of those students reaching out being like, hey guys, we love what you're doing. Come show up for us to this. We're leaving at this time. We're going to be here at this time. Just support us. We really appreciate everything that they do for us to help us get bigger, so we're just giving it back to them.
You guys are absolutely amazing, and I hope not a day goes by in your mind where you're questioning that your presence matters, because it absolutely does. Thank you so much for being here. That was Rebecca Elia. I am Brandy Troop. Back to you guys at the desk.
Coming up, lead reporter Ryan Marshall is live from Mark Light Field as the Canes are currently taking on rival FSU. Don't go anywhere.
About it, but there's all this stuff in the way.
Oh, you're not kidding.
The house, the kids are going to college.
My new car.
Car? You bought a new car?
Oh, hey, you should meet my friend Avo. Avo's a retirement coach. He'll help get you started.
But what does Avo tell you to do?
You don't know? Focus on your future. Your goals can still be met.
But how?
Target your tomorrow. And use the Avo bet.
You sing?
Not really. A is for taking action. Start off with a plan.
You built these letters?
Yep. V is for variety. There's so many ways you can.
I follow you.
Come on. O's for optimize your savings.
Let Avo lead the way.
Visit aceyourretirement.org today.
Nice sign.
Thanks, I made it myself.
Cool.
From Final Four prep to Pro Day for Canes football, this week was a busy one on campus. And the host with the most, Niles Nassim, is here to run you through social media on this week's edition of Behind the Post.
Well, prepare to be sick of me, because I'm going to be as happy as I can be. Now, I know not to celebrate too soon, but I'm jumping to the moon because the Canes basketball team is in the Final Four. So let's settle the social media score on the most electrifying segment on TV with me, Niles Nassim, your host with the most. So when you see me on screen, good God, it's time to go behind the post. Send those boys off right, I say. The Canes are heading to Houston, and for something this big, you know the Cane community had to show up and show out. Fans packed out the Wasco Center parking lot to show some love, and the team will be playing in their first Final Four in school history tomorrow night, and it will be the U's time to shine. Man, you don't want to miss it. And do you believe in magic? Because that's what happened at Mark Light when number 23 Miami walked off against FIU 6-5 this week. Now look at the joy, the passion, the excitement. The Canes are rolling, and they are currently playing the first game of a rivalry series against FSU. Be sure to check it out, and as you can see, they are having fun on the field of play. But let's go from collegiate to pros and talk about Pro Day. Yesterday, fans around the world rejoiced as the Marlins took the field for a new season, and the Canes baseball team went to social media to show some love and wish them luck. Now, I'm not going to talk about the game for obvious reasons, But they're only one game in, so there's still hope for the season, right? And from opening day to pro day, the Canes football team put their incredible talent on display. Now check out the highlights to the right of me to see some God-tier, peak-level athleticism and what it looks like. Now I know you may confuse that from me, but look at the players on the screen, ladies and gentlemen, because the Canes are gearing up for spring ball because they want to win it all. Good luck, fellas. We will see you soon at Hard Rock. But hey, that's all the time I have for you today. As always, remember, be blessed. Don't stress because you know where to find me right here on SportsDesk. I'm Miles Nassim.
For the first time in nearly 4 years, Canes baseball is hosting Florida State in a full-capacity Mark Light Field. What does Miami have to do for a rivalry series win? Our Inside Pitch crew is here with the answers. Guys?
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Inside Pitch. I'm your host, Daniel Toll, alongside analyst Cal Freeman. And Cal, I know we're all thinking about March Madness, but it's also rivalry week here for Hurricanes baseball. How you feeling?
It feels great. First time in 4 years, Miami is hosting Florida State at full capacity. Of course, it's sold out. And of course, I'm happy to have you pinch hitting this week.
Well, thanks for having me on the segment. But before we talk about FSU, let's talk about FIU. It was a huge midweek win for the Hurricanes earlier this week with a walk-off homer, but it was a game where Gino DiMare had to tap into his bullpen quite a few times in order to sneak out that win. Yeah. What was the reason behind that?
Yeah, Miami does not quite have a midweek start of this season like they did last year. When you take a look at what Jake Garland did last year, somebody could go 6-7 innings against these lesser competition. Miami does not have that this year. Right-handed pitcher Alejandro Torres is doing his best, but Miami can't seem to stretch him past 3 2/3. And Ben Chestnut, he's settling it out of the bullpen, but he hasn't looked comfortable as an opener in this game. So right now for Miami, it's about really stretching out their bullpens in these games, which isn't necessarily the healthiest strategy to go into these weekend series, but it's what it's doing, and it's what they're winning with right now.
And you know, Gino DiMare has struggled to find his midweek guy, but he's also struggling to find his Friday night guy. He went with Gage Zeal to start off the season. He struggled early. Switched to Carson Ligon, and now he's starting to struggle. So what do you think the answer for Gino DiMare is here moving forward?
Yeah, I still think the answer is Carson Ligon. He has struggled in ACC play open up this season. He really got rocked last week against Wake Forest. You can see his stats at the bottom of the screen. But what works with Carson Ligon is when he's getting strikeouts. It's very different to a lot of other starting pitchers. But Carson Ligon, when he gets his strikeouts, he can get the job done. And what starts out with Carson Ligon is using the fastball control to set up the breaking ball. There you saw the breaking ball. Let's see a couple examples of the fastball against NC State. 94 miles per hour. It's such a hard pitch to lay off with 2 strikes. But look at this final strikeout. 94 miles per hour, painted in the bottom of the zone. That's such a great pitch. He has the stuff to be Miami's Friday night starter. He just has to get the strikeouts a little more regularly.
All right, Cal, now for this week's edition of Cal's Calls, but this time a rivalry style. My favorite part of the segment. Let's hear him.
All right, so Miami needs to get their leadoff guys on against Florida State. CJ Kafis, I'm projecting a big weekend for him. I'm saying 4, maybe 5 hits for the first baseman. Secondly, Yoani Morales, he's been pretty quiet recently. It's a rivalry series. You know he's going to come up big in some moments. And lastly, the starting pitching, they're going to get their opportunities to strike out against the Florida State team that comes in 12-12. They're going to get their strikeouts this weekend.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for this week's edition of Inside Pitch. Back to Ethan at the desk.
Thanks, Daniel. Tonight's game against Florida State is completely sold out, and Mark Light Field is packed with Canes fans. Lead reporter Ryan Marshall is live at the Light to scope out the scene. Ryan, how's the Light looking right now?
Well, Ethan, you would think it would be a quiet night here at the Light because many fans are already on their way or have arrived in Houston for the Final Four. But it is buzzing here at the ballpark as it is a sellout crowd for this first game in the series against FSU. But first, let's take a little quick look into the rivalry of Miami and FSU.
While many know about Miami and Florida State's football rivalry, the two schools have a rich history in the ballpark as well. The rivalry goes as far back as March 23, 1951, when the two teams first matched up in Miami, with both teams winning a game each. Since then, the two teams have played 296 games, with the Seminoles winning 159 of them compared to Miami's 133. And these two baseball powerhouses are second and third all-time in College World Series appearances with a combined 48 trips to Omaha. But Miami has brought home the trophy 4 times compared to FSU's 0.
Margins as high as 18 runs and many games decided in the 9th inning. But recently, Miami has struggled with FSU and they've lost 7 of their last 8 matchups. And they'll look to turn that around here tonight. Reporting live for UMTV, I'm Ryan Marshall.
Up next, Pro Day has come and gone. After the break, we'll tell you which Canes impressed the NFL scouts. But first, it's time for some Hurricane trivia. Tomorrow night marks the 26th time meeting between Miami and UConn. But when was the last time the Canes and Huskies faced off? Is it A, 2003, B, 2004, C, 2008, or D, 2019? Find out the answer when SportsDesk returns.
Sometimes we can do things that exclude others.
You're still talking to your friend? It's complicated.
I think he went back in. We gotta go get him.
Welcome to Jumanji.
Even the smallest words and actions can have a big effect on someone. You have the skills. Because of you, someone's entire day, their year, or their life can change.
Remember, the future is in your hands.
Visit becauseofyou.org to learn more.
Totally, let's do it.
Guys, amazing Final Four game tomorrow, but Liv, it's your first night on the desk.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
You're doing an amazing job, but
Thank you,
we're all
guys.
just a little nervous about the game tomorrow night.
Gotta
you know?
ask, are you guys going to Watsco Center?
I can, unfortunately.
Can't high five. All right.
When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. And your mother and... I am totally a hat person. Right, guys? Thanks for being honest. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org.
Welcome back. If you guessed D, you're correct. The Huskies defeated Miami 80-55 on November 24th, 2019. In fact, it was freshman year for Isaiah Wong, Anthony Walker, and Harlan Beverly. The Canes finished just one game above last place in the ACC that year.
From Cobb Stadium to the Schiff Tennis Center, there was plenty to talk about in the world of O Sports. Michael Muella and Taryn Jacobs are here to break it down on this week's edition of the O Sports Roundup. Guys?
Well, thanks, guys. Welcome back to this week's edition of the O Sports Roundup. I'm Michael Muella.
And I'm Taryn Jacobs. Mike, what do you have for us this week?
Well, Taryn, I've got quite a bit of interesting news, especially coming out of track and field, and what a weekend it was for them on Saturday at the Hurricane Invitational. They defended Cobb Stadium with dominance and precision, starting off with Hannah Hall on the women's side, taking home first place in the shot put event, and Daphne Lavassis, the Daph Master, taking home the first place in the women's 1500 meter. Over on the men's side, Sincere Rea, first place in the 110 meter hurdles. Solomon Strader, first place in the 400 meters. And Russell Robinson, first place in the long jump. Now they're going to look to keep up their successful seasons today and into tomorrow at the Gainesville Regionals up taking on the Florida Gators. Now in swim and dive, Max Flory and Mohamed Farouk both taking home another All-American nod after competing in their respective events at NCAA Nationals for swim and dive. We're going to keep up with them and see how they finish their seasons at the University of Miami. But Taryn, tell us, I heard that women's tennis is actually having a pretty nice week.
Yeah, Mike, there must be something in the air at the Neil Schiff Tennis Center because both the men's and women's tennis teams had an outstanding week. The men's tennis team picked up their third home victory in a row this week against Drexel, and they headed out to Hard Rock Stadium earlier today to play against Clemson as part of the Miami Open event. They will be back in Coral Gables on Sunday to play against Georgia Tech. And on to the women's side, they picked up two back-to-back home victories this week against number 9 Virginia and Virginia Tech. The team moved up to number 11 in the rankings after falling to number 30 late last month. The team swept the ACC Weekly Awards with fifth-year senior Davinia Chung receiving ACC Player of the Week and freshman Mia Mack receiving ACC Freshman of the Week. The team is headed out to North Carolina this weekend for two top 10 matchups against Duke and UNC. The golf team is also headed on the road to Oklahoma for the Bruzzy. Good luck to all these teams.
Well, Taryn, always a pleasure to see you, but that's going to do it for this week of the O Sports Roundup. Back to Olivia and Ethan at the desk.
Thanks, guys. The Miami Hurricanes football squad hosted their pro day this past Monday, giving the guys a chance to show the NFL scouts what they're made of. The two biggest names for the Canes were tight end Will Mallory and cornerback Tyreek Stevenson. Mallory, who has already had the fastest 40-yard dash by any tight end this year at the Combine, made some impressive catches. He is currently projected as a fifth-round draft pick. Stevenson showed off his versatility and said many coaches talked to him about playing positions other than quarterback. After his performance Monday, he is expected to go second or third round in this year's draft.
All right, still ahead, that magical moment from the loudest Elite 8 watch party on campus. Don't go anywhere.
Kevin, you thinking about retirement?
Of course I've thought about it, but there's all this stuff in the way.
Oh, you're not kidding.
The house, the kids are going to college.
My new car.
Car? You bought a new car?
Oh, hey, you should meet my friend Avo. Avo's a retirement coach. He'll help get you started.
But what does Avo tell you to do?
You don't know? Focus on your future. Your goals can still be met.
But how?
Target your tomorrow and use the Avo bet.
You sing?
Not really. A is for taking action. Start off with a plan.
You built these letters?
Yep. V is for variety. There's so many ways you can.
I follow you.
Come on. O's for optimize your savings.
Let Avo lead the way.
Visit aceyourretirement.org today.
Nice sign.
Thanks, I made it myself.
Cool.
Anna Bozovic is a 42-year-old real estate agent in Miami, but that's not all. When she came to Miami 10 years ago from Serbia, Anna found a passion for jiu-jitsu. She now practices every day at MMA Masters in Miami, doing technique drills and sparring with her teammates, which include professional MMA fighters. She considers her training to be the only constant in her life, and ironically, where she feels most relaxed.
I love jiu-jitsu. It is my jiu-jitsu is my daily meditation. It's how I sort of cleanse my mind, and it's the only time that I don't work and I'm not plugged in. And I love it because it's such a real-time activity. You're in a very real situation. If your mind wanders elsewhere, even for a split second, you could hurt your training partner, you could hurt yourself. So you really, really have to be there. It's very flow state, very real-time.
On Thursday, Anna was promoted to a blue belt, and as tradition, she was taken to the floor by her teammates in celebration. She hopes to use her skills to win Worlds this year.
Miami is heading into Houston after a 13-point comeback win against Texas in the Elite Eight. And one of the plays that sparked that comeback was an unconventional inbounds pass. Let's take it back to the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City for this week's play of the day. All right, here we got Wooga Poplar, who needs the inbound in, and hold on a second. Where did he throw that one? He gets the yam, obviously, the dunk, but let's run that back again. Where did he throw that? That is right off of his backside. They like to say Texas's back. Well, that's Texas's backside. That's the one that they call the badunkadunk right there. Throws that ball and just gets it back, and that swung momentum for Miami. They ended up winning it.
Canes students packed the Rat this past Sunday as Miami balled out against the Longhorns, and I don't think it could have gotten any louder as the clock hit 0. All right, here you see the Canes watching with anticipation as they watch the last seconds of the Elite Eight, and the crowd just go crazy after the ball it's done. And you see here our executive producer Daniel and Niles going absolutely crazy with the Canes spell out. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, Ethan.
No, it doesn't. I was actually there for that. That was a lot of fun. But I will say congrats to Daniel and Niles on actually timing their Canes spell out correctly this year, because no one might know, but last year, Niles and Daniel decided to do the Canes spell out at halftime when we were playing Kansas in the Elite Eight. And yeah, that game didn't turn out too well. It was a blowout.
Yeah,
so.
It didn't go in our favor, but
it's nice to see us finally doing well with that Canes spell out, because Daniel, for everyone who doesn't know, REP, he is obsessed with the Canes spell out, okay? That's one of his favorite things to do, right?
I swear he's Sebastian. We're going to see him with his feet at graduation. We will, for sure.
We're not trying to break any secrets here, but he may be Sebastian.
I really think we're going to see him with the web feet.
He does it all the time. Meanwhile, later on tonight, we've got a couple of Final Four games in the women's bracket. Right now, there's actually one playing on the TV in front of us. It's LSU versus Virginia Tech. LSU's up 14-11, so I don't know what's going on there, but I can't wait to watch the games tonight.
I can't either, but that's all the time we have this week on this week's edition of Sports Desk.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you again next week.